Hello guys, so we are now in Bahamas at CryptoBahamas conference organized by FTX&SALT, and we are here with Brad Garlinghouse, CEO of Ripple, global payment solution.
Hi, everyone.
Nice to meet you here, Brad.
Very good to be here. Lots going on. Bahamas is alive and well with crypto.
Yeah, so can you tell us about your journey? How did you get into crypto? How did you discover it first?
I was first introduced to Bitcoin in around 2012, 2013, and first bought some Bitcoin in 2012, 2013. I was always excited about the promise of what the digitization and the programmability of money could represent. I was always a little bit nervous in the early days about if all of the crypto ecosystem was trying to compete with governments or circumvent governments or compete with banks and circumvent banks. I always thought that was not necessarily the path to having the optimal outcome. And when I first heard about Ripple, Ripple was taking an approach of, hey, how do we bridge between the crypto world and the traditional world? And really what we've spent I've been at the company 7 years, what we spent that time doing is, to some degree, building those bridges, and I almost think about it as interoperability between the legacy infrastructure and a much more modern, much faster, next generation set of technologies ranging from Bitcoin to XRP. I believe very much in a multi-chain world. As you probably heard me say, I think tribalism is holding the industry back in some regards. But I think there's going to be a lot of winners, and I'm excited for the next 5-10 years to play out.
So do you have any favorite chains?
Oh, XRP. The XRP Ledger is my favorite chain.
It's obvious. Any others?
No, I mean, I have invested in this space, and frankly, Ripple, I mean, as a company, we've invested well over $500 million, maybe approaching $1 billion in other crypto projects. The majority of those are XRP related, but there's a bunch that are not XRP, directly related to XRP. And I truly believe that in the crypto ecosystem, all boats can rise. And if Ripple is doing anything that's good for crypto, then it's good for Ripple. And so even what we see happening in regulatory venues, the United States and outside the United States, the more I think we can work together, the better off we're going to be. And I for years have been advocating, like, look, I see people throwing stones, and I just think we could all, one player doesn't have to fail for another player to succeed, and it's going to be a very big market. It's going to continue to grow. If it's $2 trillion today, I'm very optimistic it'll be 20 trillion in not that many years.
And is Ripple your first crypto venture, or did you work with any other crypto companies before?
No, Ripple is my first pure crypto play. I guess I had a little bit of touch with Filecoin prior to joining Ripple, but was not personally involved as a small investor.
And now we still see the lawsuit of CSE against Ripple, and you made some comment that it's going quite well. Can you tell more about this, about the progress?
Well, look, I think no one is excited to have a lawsuit brought upon you by a government agency. But I think as time has gone by, people have realized that what we have been saying for a long time, that the laws in the United States have not been clear. And to use a 1946 Supreme Court case that we call the Howey test to try to provide clarity about whether or not crypto assets are securities, I think really stretches the Howey test beyond recognition. It's my firm belief that we Ripple are really working to help support the entire crypto industry with this lawsuit with the United States SEC. The good news is outside the United States, you see much more friendly regulatory engagement. And I often, as you probably have heard me say, I encourage entrepreneurs who are starting crypto and blockchain companies today to look outside the United States to start, as opposed to starting in the US.
So how do you see crypto regulations worldwide? In US, here, as well, we recently were in France.
Yes, you and I saw each other at the Paris Blockchain Week, and look, I think you're seeing countries like Switzerland and the UK and the United Arab Emirates, Singapore, Japan, they all have provided certainty and clarity. And it's not even critical exactly what that looks like. What it's critical is that the investors and entrepreneurs know what the rules of the road are. The vast majority of people building capabilities and participating in the crypto markets are good actors, and they want to follow the rules and the laws. But when they're not clear, and as is the case here in the United States, Ripple and I personally went in 3 or 4, maybe 4 or 5 times to the SEC, met with commissioners, met with the chairman, met with staff, and for years was very transparent about what we're doing. For them years later to come back and say, we think XRP is a security, you should have known that the whole time, feels a little preposterous.
And how do you see development here in Bahamas? What are your plans for the development?
Well, I just arrived in the Bahamas, and this event hosted by FTX I think has been outstanding. The participation was very busy, very active, and I also really like the fact that it's very multi-chain, a lot of exciting stuff going on across different technology platforms, so I feel like it's been really good. I don't know personally what's going on that much in development based here in the Bahamas. Obviously I think FTX is based here, but I'm not as close to what other projects are going on here in the Bahamas.
So do you plan to partner with some banks here so that they start using Ripple?
Well, we had an existing customer come by our table earlier today. It's really enjoying working with us and just complimenting how simple the technology is, how quickly they've been able to ramp, and how it's helped them scale their business more quickly. So it's always good to hear from happy customers.
Yeah, and as well, some countries plan to launch their central bank digital currencies. China already has a successful launch of digital yuan. So how do you see the existence of both cryptocurrency and central bank digital currencies?
Well, typically, the way Ripple looks at this is Ripple's really trying to solve that cross-border payments problem. Central bank digital currencies are domestic by nature. They're issued by a central bank or potentially issued by a central bank. So they're not really solving cross-border problems. They're solving domestic solutions more often than not. So look, I think that what we're seeing happen with stablecoins, we're seeing happen with central bank issued digital assets, I think is exciting. I'm not exactly clear how it's all going to play out. You're seeing countries experiment and test. Ripple has partnered with several central banks around the world. Some we've announced, some we haven't yet announced, that they're issuing and testing using the XRP Ledger to issue their digital assets on the XRP Ledger as a token. So we're excited to be working with them. And look, at our core, Ripple's really good at working with enterprise customers. A government is just a big enterprise customer. We know how to sell to.
That's an interesting notion.
In some ways, it's just a really big enterprise customer, and we're pretty good at that now because we've had a lot of experience with it and worked with some of the largest banks in the world, as well as a lot of the smaller payment companies that have grown very quickly using our technology. It's helped them grow more quickly.
And what are your thoughts on stablecoins?
I put stablecoins in the same category. Look, here in the US, stablecoins face some of the same problems that the crypto industry at large faces, where you have a very aggressive Securities and Exchange Commission making statements about are those securities, and I think you're seeing uncertainty around how that will play out. But look, I think, as I've said, it's a multi-chain world. I think there will not be one solution to rule them all, and I think there'll be solutions that cooperate with each other and integrate with each other in ways that help both projects.
And in your opinion, what is needed for the mass adoption of crypto?
Well, look, it's an interesting question because I'd start by saying I think over 50 million people in the United States are already have crypto exposure one way or another, and so that's kind of mass adoption. That's a lot of people. Now, do I think that is? I think a lot more people will be participating in the crypto markets in 5 more years. So I think things like NFTs have opened up exposure to new customer segments. I also think a lot of this will be in non-G20 markets where you don't have strong currencies like the dollar or euro or yen or pound. And if you are, I'll pick on the Zimbabwe dollar. This is a currency that the central government has kind of lost control of a couple of times in history, and I think you may see that digital assets enter consumer use cases more prevalently or more actively in markets where you don't have strong domestic currency.
And what are your thoughts about DeFi, and does Ripple do something in that space?
I was asked on stage in Puerto Rico about DeFi, and I think my response was confused. I would maybe expand that to just say I'm excited and confused. There's no doubt in my mind that decentralized finance applications, there's some very compelling ones. To some degree, DeFi means different things to different people. The only thing I would caution against, sometimes people talk about DeFi in a way that there are some certain foundational regulatory frameworks that matter globally. And it doesn't matter for the United States or in Europe and Asia. Government regulators care about something called KYC, know your customer. And when you talk about true DeFi and you have anonymous transactions and decentralized autonomous organizations that don't have KYC-able owners, if you will, or principals, I think it makes it very hard for those entities to integrate and partner and participate in the traditionally defined financial system. So I think it's to be determined how that all plays out.
But now we see as well big DeFi players launching somehow DeFi for institutionals with this KYC and whitelist.
We shall see how it plays out.
Yeah, and can you share something about your portfolio? What other coins except Ripple, XRP do you have?
I keep that to myself mostly. I mean, I am involved in kind of index of various other leading cryptos, but I don't do it, even in the stock market. I don't do a lot of individual stock picks for the same reason. But,
so, do you still invest into stocks, or are you all into crypto?
I would say about 90% of my personal net worth is in crypto.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And can you share some plans for the development of Ripple? Any
Sure.
exciting partnerships?
Sure. Maybe if you don't mind, last question, I'll touch on this and then we'll wrap up. But look, I think for Ripple, one of the things I have talked about a little bit publicly is that I was exposed, very fortunately, to Amazon in the very earliest days. I met Jeff Bezos in 1996. And at the time it was called Amazon Books, and Amazon was a bookseller, and they competed just with books. In some ways, I think about what Amazon was to books as Ripple is to cross-border payments. Blockchain technologies can solve and reduce friction of transactions in lots of industries and lots of use cases. Ripple started with cross-border transactions because we felt like the correspondent bank could be disintermediated and improve speed, improve cost, and reduce errors. But there's a lot of other examples like that, and we certainly think there's other vertical industries we'll go after. We've talked a little bit publicly about some things we're doing with the carbon credit marketplaces as one example, but there's some other things that we'll continue to work on to go beyond just books.
Okay, great. We'll follow more updates from Ripple and from you. Thank you for such interesting conversation.
Thank you for having me.